Alrighty then. This isn't an episode of Comic Thoughts. This is just a good old fashioned sit down and chat. Obviously, I am your host, Sam Cripps, and joining me is the wonderful Chris, who is also known as the Adelaide Toy Collector.
G'day.
So, Chris, how you doing? You good?
I am well. I am well. It's a beautiful day.
Oh, it's so
And
nice.
it's so nice. First day of spring, and it is awesome.
You've got your wall of pops behind you, I can see.
All the
You've been
pops.
adding any more to that collection recently?
I actually picked up the Blacklight Mothra today from Godzilla versus the Monsters.
That's pretty
So
cool.
that was a cool one. Yes. I've sort of slowed the collection down, but I've been adding a lot of Freddy Funkos of like pops and sodas, but it's just getting so damn expensive.
So what price tag are they sitting at the moment?
Well, I mean, look, when you're looking at your regular pops, when I first started a few years ago, they were around the $17 mark. Now we're about 5 years after that, and now your common pops are around 22, anything up to 25.
It's
Soda
crazy.
started out.
I remember them being $15 when I first saw them and they started coming out. I remember them being around the $15 mark.
Yeah. Sorry, back when I first started, yeah, and then I think not long after that they hit 17, and then
Yeah.
that's when they just sort of shot straight up from that. And the sodas started off at $20 3 years ago, and now they're going up to like $35.
Oh wow, the sodas are. I remember selling sodas at $20, but I even remember doing some special deals when I can't remember exactly what the details were. I think there might have been like I'll call it an over order where the company sent me so many of them when I was selling that stuff that I was like, what am I going to do with all these? And I think I gave them to people like yourself and others at like $15 or $12 or something like that.
Just to
Because
move
yeah,
them on and get rid of them.
that's it. That's it. Because they only meant to send
Yeah.
me like two, and I think I ended up with like 2 to 3 boxes. It was like, what? But yeah, that was
Yes.
that. I don't know if that was my fault or theirs. Still not sure on that one.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been collecting for a long time now. We've had many chats about collecting. You've hanged out with the Comic Thots crew a bunch of different times for, either at fairs or conventions or wherever you run into us in the wild.
Yeah.
Obviously you've been to a lot of conventions this year. You've hit up a few. What's been some of the highlights so far?
Um, I've always enjoyed the Comic Con scene. These conventions are really fantastic. I mean, I understand, especially for someone like you who's into comics more than what I am. It's called Comic Con, and we seem to lack a lot of the comic stuff, related stuff at these conventions. So that's always the downside of these things. I guess for me though, being a very pop culture related person, I'm into Marvel and Star Wars, so there's always an abundance of that stuff. We've had some really awesome guests. Oz Comic Con this year, we had the armorer, Emily Swallow from the Mandalorian series.
I did
So
see
meeting
a
her was a
video of
highlight.
her. That's cool. Very
Yeah, so
cool.
she was really nice. And, the convention was okay. It could have been a bit better.
Yep.
The thing is, they only had a handful of guests. And I think the downside of that is that they always say, well, Adelaide doesn't get the numbers to the conventions. But if you deliver the guests, the numbers will be there.
Well,
You
my example for where some of these events go wrong, and I'm talking, well, I'll call it your big ones, your the comic cons and your supernovas and things like that, where they kind of
Yeah.
forget is there's three key things that they forget. The first one being the average fan doesn't necessarily like the new stuff that's out. Like there's so many fans of comics and toys and collectibles that don't want the new shiny thing. They want the older stuff. So there's a lack in retro, I guess I'll call it. The next
Yeah.
lacking thing is, like you said, that's called Comic Con. That's a good example. And they don't have comics like for sale there. And if they do, it's like the same two dudes that we kind of all personally know.
Yeah.
It'd be cooler. It'd be smarter, in my opinion, if they attracted vendors from, even if, so Melbourne comic book shops did Adelaide and Adelaide vendors did Melbourne. They did like a trade-off or something. That would be a kind of cooler way to see new stock and swap things about. So I think just the way they run some of the comic stuff is a bit of a muck up. And then the third one is the guest stuff, like you said, where Adelaide, and you would have probably noticed this, we're interested in celebrities and stuff to a certain extent, but Adelaide's collector base is huge and are more interested in meeting the people that created or designed something a lot of the time. And because they don't bring them, we don't go. Well, I don't go. I know that's different for you.
Yeah. And the thing is, look at the year that Supernova brought Stan Lee to Adelaide.
Yeah.
Huge. The lineups were just humongous. Like you couldn't move.
VIP line, baby. I remember all you guys flipping me off as I walked straight past to the front.
And hey, look, I Supernova for MC now, so now I get the best seats in the house when I'm up there, like or interviewing the guest.
Yeah, amazing.
But a few years ago, that was a dream, and now it's my reality. But it's interesting. It's interesting, though. You just said something before about the fact that people are collecting stuff, not necessarily the new shiny thing, but they like the vintage thing. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's one element really missing, and that is like what I mean, the Supernova, Oz Comic Con, or one of these conventions. One of the things that they could really bust the market here in all the conventions is why not have a vintage marketplace as part of it? You've got your toy stores and stuff. So why not a marketplace where people can go and look at vintage toys, secondhand toys, old collectibles, retro gaming, that sort of stuff. And, imagine how well those people would do, because you're right. A lot of the people that go to these conventions, they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who grew up in the 80s and 90s watching these awesome TV shows. We want the old retro collectible stuff. They were fun. Like I used to love getting home from school and cracking open the latest Transformers thing and, driving bloody my Optimus Prime toy through the dirt. Now, if I knew now what I knew back then, if I knew back then what I knew now, I would not have done it.
Yeah.
But, getting your hands
toys
on
are also
second,
meant to be played with to a certain extent. Like there's always going to be that element, no matter how much it's worth in the future or in the past or whatever. And speaking of how you've just said the market, this is where I kind of want to now pivot to my favorite event of the year, the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair. So that obviously fills that gap in a way. It fills that gap where it is literally now, what is it? It's 4 basketball courts and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 giant circles plus all the walls covered in retro pretty much, with a hint of new. And that is, I love that that's the full of retro with the hint of new, because having the new stuff is important too. But the fact that you can walk down aisles and see Castle Grayskull at someone's stall, original one, you can see, like you said, old Transformers next to new Transformers, Marvel Legends galore, Barbie dolls. There's just something for everything, like horror for new and old toys. But that filling that marketplace kind of gap that there is, I think Adelaide and Comic Toy Fair have nailed that. And I know that I'll be obviously attending and selling as per normal / running around like a crazy man like I do in the day, talking to everyone and wheeling and dealing and buying toys and comics. And I'm assuming you're doing the same?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny. I've done the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair for years now.
Yes.
And when I first started out, I was helping Davey Boys Toys put a stall in for a couple of the earlier shows. Then I started helping Peter at Collector World by doing his.
Yep.
And then this year, the one earlier this year, was the first time I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to put my own stall in. And I did pretty well.
That's good.
I am indeed, again, going to be putting in my own stall. So I'm going to have an abundance of Funko Pops and sodas. I've got some Lego. I've got a handful of Transformers, some possible retro toys. So I'm going to have a real mixed bag. And if it's anything like how I did earlier this year, we're in for a good show. And you're right. This has a really great balance. There's a few new stall holders, but the great thing about this particular show, there's a lot of vintage stuff, and it really feels like you're going back to your childhood, and that's what I love, that feel.
This time, there's some new vendors. Obviously, we always try and mix things up with this. Well, Brett does an amazing job of going through the list of people that he calls them the regulars. We'll have our staple stalls that are like, for example, I'm going to call myself a staple. considering I've been doing it for 9 years. Every show I've been at, every single one since we started. I helped the first one find its venue and things when we first ever had the idea. And this started with us all in backyards, hanging out, playing video games and trading toys and drinking and carrying on like idiots. And then we're like, wow, there's a lot of us and we're slowly bringing more and more people to our houses. Maybe we need to find somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's cool that people like yourself have now sort of joined that backyard community that we sort of had, and it's growing and evolving as we go. And the way I look at it, where there's some other fairs and things that happen around Adelaide that are fantastic as well, but I've not seen anyone do the kind of growth and keep the fun we were having in the backyards is still there at this event. And that is notable. Like for 9 years later, to still all walk in, all of us see each other, saying hello to all the other stall holders, everyone's mate, saying g'day, chatting, laughing, having that silly moment where one of us will have a toy on our stall that the other person finds quite funny, and you can literally pick it up and be like, what the hell have you fucking done here? Like, what is this? And we all laugh and have that good time. Is something that some of the other events have missed out, because I don't feel like they had that 9-year growth. They haven't done that. And I think, as you said, you joining sort of early on in the fairs, I'm trying to think when Davey's Boy Toys in.
We put a stall in when it was at the German club, the one upstairs, and you only could use the elevator.
Yeah, because that's one of our weirdest shows to date, because there's a long story, but to cut it short, there was a bunch of problems and we had to problem solve very quick, and they were nice enough to let us host the thing in there. And I've always called that the worst fair I've ever actually personally had, but like, for one, making money on the day, and two, for just the positioning of things, just everything made me not very happy. But it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, seeing everyone handing beers out to people like Wally, who was one of the older comic shop owners from back in the day, and various other people. Just drinks would appear out of nowhere, and it was quite funny. It had a reminiscence of the drinking in the backyard and swapping toys. This was like a futuristic version of that moment in a way. So not good for money making, because spend it behind the bar, but
yeah. Well, I think the first year we did it was when it was at Christian Brothers College.
Yep. Yeah, we were there for a while.
So we did that about 2 or 3 times.
Okay, yeah.
Then we did the German Arms, or the German, whatever they call it, the German Club.
Yep.
And then from there, did you go to Mars after that?
Yeah, so we're at the Marsden Sports thing. Now, there's another one that has a good story, because we started, that event was really growing at this point. Like, we were getting so many people reaching out, asking about this event, and even contacting myself and Bryony and that, who help Brett where we can, just asking how to get involved in things. And from that, unfortunately, that venue changed hands and owners, and the new owner went a bit loopy. I don't mind saying it. I was there for a part of it, witnessed him being not the nicest of people, and unfortunately, we turned around from that and was like, right, we're never coming back here. That was the worst experience. So we moved, obviously, now to oh my god, I've gone blank. What's it called?
St. Clair Recreation Parade.
That's it. That's it. Wow, sorry.
I think the one thing that would be fantastic if we got the Quidditch back again, because that was always fun, like watching those people run around playing their pretend Harry Potter game.
They did that. Yeah, the Quidditch. That was great having them there. I think they still do. They still have a stall sometimes. I don't think they made it to the last show, and they sort of sell a couple of things in that to put money back into their Quidditch club, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that swapping to this venue's been the best thing for us, like amazing. And the venue is super supportive, to the point of like, they love us coming into there, because they were not expecting it to be what it is. And look, shut up, they make bank for having us there. So they love it, having us there. We've stuff, and even some of the guys that work there, I notice, often do a quick run around and buy some things, and then go back to their job serving food or whatever they've got to do. So
Well,
yeah, that's good.
I think I've been attending the event since 2016, because that was, I think, the year that I met you.
Yep.
Which I can't believe is coming up to 8 years that I've known you now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I can't even remember how we met. Sorry. Yes, of course. At the Fisherman's Market.
Most people met me at the market because I was
your first customer.
Yeah, after I just set up, I think, that day, and you were the first person to come in, and then we continued that on when I had the pop-up shop. You were the first person in the doors for the pop-up shop. Yeah, that's kind of.
I remember my first purchase from you. I can't remember what I purchased from you at the Fisherman's Market, but my first purchase from you at your pop-up store was a NECA Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface figure.
Yes, that figure is awesome. I do remember that too, and I actually remember you and me also did some buy-sell trades, because I remembered this the other day, because I wanted to say thank you to you, because we swapped some pops and things around, and I totally forgot about some of those things, and I put, because I don't collect pops and stuff, I went through some of my old stock and put it up on eBay and things. So I had I had a Hulk from you, and it was from the first lot of Hulks, and it just sold for a couple $100. So I held on to that until recently. So thank you. I forgot.
And it's kind of funny. I know you like to sell pops, but you don't like pops.
No, I'm not a pop man. No, it's just not for me. But at the same time, I understand the desire. Like, it's no different to comics. Like, it's just it's the same thing, different format in a way.
Yeah. And look, the tagline that Funko, who make the pops, their biggest line is, everyone's a fan of something.
Oh yeah.
But what they don't say is that everyone's fans of. There are people that aren't fans of something. So the thing is, I love Star Wars, and I know there are people out there who hate Star Wars. Now, they're wrong, but that's okay. That's their opinion.
You're allowed to be wrong.
I don't like Doctor Who. I can't get into it, and I have a lot of friends who love it, and they tell me I'm wrong. And I cop that, and I wear it. But the thing is, the thing about these conventions, whether they're the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair, whether they're Supernova or Oz Comic Con or whatever, we have a platform where we all get together. We get to geek out, nerd out, hang out. We get to celebrate and share everything that we're passionate about, all in the one place. And no one gives a shit about what we all like and what we love and what we don't like. Because we're all together in one place, just having a good time.
We'll stir each other up. Like, we'll often, that's all part of the fun too, is like walking past each other with something that we've bought and being like just showing off what you've got or what I've got. Or even though, like you said, I'm not a pop guy, you'll show me and I'll be like, oh, that's actually really cool, that I didn't know, because I don't know anything about pops. I'm not going to ever pretend to know. You'll show me a character that I didn't even know that they had made, because let's be honest, they've made billions of characters now, and that just blows my mind that they went from these one or two little bobblehead guys to making every character and having the license for everything. It's a pretty incredible
I'm really surprised that they've never made a Spawn pop.
No, I don't think they will. I think
it's a licensing thing.
Yeah, I don't think he'll let go of that. I think he shared Spawn maybe once with one other like statue company at one point, but that was a long time ago. So
yeah.
Oh, pardon me. I can't see him doing anything like that at any time soon, considering how well he's done. And he's also made pop-like versions of the Spawn character a couple of times. So
yeah.
I think he'd just release it himself, and it'd be just a blatant copy, basically, which is smart.
Well, I guess for that he makes all the profit.
Exactly.
It's all my license, my money. Thanks.
Well, think about now. Do you have many McFarlane toys in your collection?
Not really. I mean, I had a couple. My problem is I live in the tiniest little tiny unit. The fact that I've got these in here really is, I feel like I'm renting the place for them, and I just happen to be their boarder. I've had some. I had a McFarlane Spawn figure, which I really, really liked. However, a friend of mine offered me 3 times as much I paid for it, because they love Spawn, and apparently it became a bit of a rare item and you couldn't get it anywhere.
Do you know what it was?
It was in like a blue box. It was quite like looked like a VHS cassette size, but a bit bigger. He had like these sort of weird wings coming out the back of him. And this guy's like, "Oh, I've been looking for that everywhere." And then he offered me, I think I paid $50 for it from Pop Culture.
Yeah, I think I've got
and
one.
I ended up selling it for $150 to him.
Wow. Oh, that's
And I was like, huh, you know what?
I'm shocked.
Because
That's actually, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was happy because there was a mystery box on Pop Culture, which was exactly $150, which included a very rare pop plus a heap of other pops in it. So obviously to entice you to buy this. And he basically turned around and said, "Well, instead of me giving you the money, how about I just pay for this box for you?" And I was like,
perfect
"Deal."
trade-off.
Yeah. So for me, it was like a win-win. I got $150 worth of stuff for a $50 item.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what that mystery box.
That's what this hobby collecting and our nerdy world kind of is. We all buy and sell and trade as we go along because our collections grow and grow and grow. And there are certain points where we go, oh, maybe I'm not in love with this thing anymore. And you just sort of have to make a decision to, narrow our paths down. And as like us, we're not spring chickens. We're moving up in the ages slowly. We're still young at heart, but
Yeah.
we're getting a little older. We have to sort of also go, like you said, I can't fit anything in this room anymore. So what do I do other than trying to buy another house?
I'm kind of hoping that in like maybe one of the shows next year, I won't put a stall in. But what I'm thinking about doing is, because obviously, as you know, I've got a YouTube channel. I'm thinking of doing a video for my YouTube channel, which is basically I go in and I buy like an item for say $10.
Yeah.
And then I want to go around to all the vendors and then up trade. So like swap it for something worth 15, then swap that for something for worth 20, and then see what I get at the end of the day. And basically spend the whole day going from
just
a $20 item up to something. Because I watched a video the other day about this guy who bought a $20 Funko Pop and then went around and just basically up traded. And by the end, he ended up with a $150 Funko Pop at the end of the day.
Yeah, wow, that's cool.
And
it's just because what people want and what they're after, just swapping things. It's smart. Well, I did a fun one like that. Not the last event, the event before. I gave $50 to Connor and $50 to Ashraf, and said, right, go buy something for me. You've got to impress me. So buy it, put it in this box, and then I'll open it. So then on one of the Comic Thots episodes, I opened it, and the game then became I had to guess who bought what and who had the better, who won. I ended up getting a alien toy that I would never buy ever, and I hate snakes, and it looks like a snake. So I don't know. I feel like that was just them being mean. And then I got some really cool Wolverine claws, like the ones that like sit in between your fingers and that. They look awesome.
Yeah.
And I got an Angela Spawn toy, I think, or a Spawn toy of some sort, which was
I'd personally be looking for something Street Sharks for you, but I know that you've owned pretty much 99% of Street Sharks. I'm like, I would definitely be getting you something that's a duplicate. So it's like, what do I get?
I think I only need one Street Shark now, and that's it. I think that's what I'm down to. I bought.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I'm not getting like, there's all this other stuff. There's big hand puppets and things like that. I do have one of them, but I'm not a completist in that way. I just want the action figures. So everything else is a bonus if I find it. Hand puppets. I've got the remote control car, but it doesn't work. Like it's a little remote control shark that's really terrible that they released. I've got that. But yeah, I never wanted. I didn't really care about all the extra stuff, and I know heaps of guys that do, but that's not me. I'm not 100% completist. I just wanted every action figure in that line. Yeah, it's cool. That's very cool. Nearly completing that. Speaking of completing and things, obviously your kind of collection's kind of similar to mine, where it will never be completed in a way. It'll just forever. There's always another thing. Do you sort of like have a final period, do you think, like where you're just gonna go, not for me anymore, or you're gonna stop and change, or any ideas?
I've already surpassed that. I was collecting everything I could Star Wars. It got to the point where, do you know what? there's 10,000 Grogus or Baby Yodas. You've got every BB-8, every R2D2, they've just gone and gone. Look, let's just make 10 of these in different poses. And I went, do you know what? It's no fun.
Yeah.
There's no fun in that. I stick to the core characters now, and I just go. I get the characters I like. I don't need the special edition ones like Baby Grogu holding a remote control. I mean, seriously,
yeah, it's too much.
You get your core one, yeah. There's 10,000 Groots, 10,000 Deadpools. So for me,
do you find that now, obviously, with your collection being you've got a huge collection, how do you how do I word this? Storing them, because I know you'd want to protect them. Obviously, you'd buy protector boxes and things for them. Do you find that you've now spent an absurd amount of money on protecting your collection?
I mean, a hard stack for a pop is around the $10 value. Soft protectors, when they first came out, were around $3. A lot of them now a lot of companies mass produce them to the point where they're really just cheap now. I know Davey Boy's Toys sell them for like $1 each, but you are correct. When you're paying $20, $25 for a Funko Pop, and then you've got to add an extra couple of dollars for each of them, I've got 1,000 Funko Pops. You times that by the $20 that you let's say 20 is your retail price. There's $20,000, and then on top of that, if you've got 1,000 and you're spending an extra $2 protecting them, there's an extra couple of $1,000 just to protect your collection. On top of which, then you've got to buy the shelving to display them.
Have you got them all catalogued?
Well, look, that's the funny thing. I don't. Because, and look, that is actually quite dangerous. I say it's dangerous because I have been to the point where, like the Blacklight Chucky from Child's Play, I own 3 of them because I keep forgetting I own it. So sometimes I go out and I go, oh, I need that, and I get it. And I get home, it's like, oh, look at that. I actually already own it, and I completely forgot. The Funko app is good for cataloging, but it glitches and it mucks around. And at the moment, I'm going through the collection to find stuff that I can sell at some variety of different, like the toy fairs and stuff that I enter into. But it's only because I need to downgrade the collection so that I can really focus on what I really want to collect. Because I used to be a FOMO collector at times, like, oh my God, that's going to shoot up in value, so I better get it now. Because if I do want it in the future, I don't want to pay triple the price.
Speculating, buying, I used to sell not with pops and not so much with toys, but with comics. When I was working in the comic shop, I was really good at selling that speculator books because I had the time. I don't do any of this anymore. I literally am so far behind. I've got like 5 massive piles of books to read here. What I would do is I'd sit there. I have a bunch of different things. Oh, hang on. So what's this? Oh, I've got to pop up. Running out of time. All right, so we got to be quick. Basically, I would check key collector and a bunch of other things, and then make an advert to say this book's hot, it's coming out, jump on it now, and then that would help obviously our sales because speculators would jump on that. I'm assuming that's the same thing that you were doing. You're seeing people post or saying these things, double checking it with other websites and whatever, and then ordering or trying to get it.
Because there are some YouTubers that will go, oh my God, this pop is coming out now and it's going to be super, super hot. And if you don't get it in a couple of months' time, it's going to be triple the price.
Yeah, so and just because they've said it, it might go up.
Exactly. Because and you kind of think to yourself, well, hang on a minute. They're petrifying the market so that they're scaremongering so that people will go out and buy it. And then, of course, that increases the sales. It gets harder to find. And then what happens is some of these YouTubers who are really smart will go to their local dealer. I call them dealers because it's plastic crack basically.
Plastic crack.
They'll go and they'll go and order a box of 6, and then what will happen is they'll just put that aside for 6 months, and then as the production of it comes down, it gets harder to find. They start putting on eBay for 3 or 4 times the price they paid for it, and all of a sudden the market starts going, oh, this pop is now worth this much, and they keep one. They've sold 5. The one that they've got basically cost them nothing. They've made a heap of money on the 5 that they've sold, and they're the ones sitting there going, great, what's the next one I can do that to?
Yeah, that's it. The speculator market can be really sort of dangerous in a way for all comics, toys, whatever. It is And shoes is a big one too now. No,
Oh,
that's a huge market for doing speculator
yeah.
buying and selling. But yeah, I now
I'm okay
avoid
for
that.
shoes.
Yeah, same.
I complain about paying $20 for a pair of shoes at Big W, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. All of us collectors will do something like that. Like I get angry at the price of food or beer, and I'll be like, "Oh, $7 for a pint. This is disgusting." Yet then I'll see a comic that's like 25 grand, and I'm like, "That's a good deal."
It's like I complain about the same thing. Oh, I can't believe I'm paying like $11 for like a packet of like 3 steaks that I have to cook for 3 people. Oh, look at that, a $30 pop that I don't need that I'm going to spend $30 on.
Yeah, that's it. We've got our vices, and collecting
Priority?
is pretty much yeah. That's it. Our
Yeah.
priorities are a bit skewed. But
Yes.
I've got a little bit more time left, so I've got about 7 minutes. So
Yep.
I'll quickly ask you these big 4 questions. First question, and I just want like your 2 of your honest opinions. Name
Yep.
your 2 favorite events that you go to religiously when it comes to like fairs, toy conventions, or whatever.
Okay, Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair, of course.
Yeah.
Only because obviously everyone involved in that is just fantastic. It's a great event. Like I just love seeing it grow. Today, when I was helping out at my mate's store, I told a couple of people about the fair who'd never heard of it, and they've already told me, "Oh, I'm definitely going to be there."
Oh,
so
sweet, amazing.
That makes me happy. And of course, Supernova. But that's because I'm a bit biased because I MC for Supernova.
Yeah.
I do find that they really do care about Adelaide as an event.
Yep.
And they care about giving us what we want. Not always exactly what we want, but they try and please us to the best that they possibly can.
Yeah.
And it is hard because people will complain about the guests, but actually
everyone's
getting
going to
the
complain
guests
at
here,
some point. Like there's no one's ever going to be. Everyone's not always going to be happy. You can't win. No matter what fair or con it is running, they're always going to have someone that didn't have a good time for whatever reason. Next question is, so obviously the YouTube channel has been doing well, and you hit some good amount of subscribers, I believe.
I recently hit 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I'm on 1,004, which means so now my channel can become monetized. The only issue is you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time. I'm on about 30. And now thank you YouTube, because they love to make things easy. Because of their shorts now, you can have 10 million views on your shorts to be monetized. So that's a lot of people watching a lot of your videos.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's hard. And that's work. That is putting the time and money into it. That is, yeah. Well, anyway, congratulations on that and getting all those subscribers. That's fantastic. I know I'm one of them. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the nerd guys and we've got the Nerds Paradise gang and the Comic Thots crew. So they're all followers and likes. Then the final thing is, tell us all about where people can find you. Like what social media, what's your YouTube channel called? Just quickly dive into that. We've got about 4 minutes.
All right. So you can find me on both YouTube and also Instagram. And I do dabble in a little bit of TikTok at times to make the shorts, and Twitter. But my channel is called Adelaide Toy Collector. I'm in the process of organising a 1,000 subscriber giveaway, but I've got giveaways all the time. But I mainly collect, Funkos, Lego, obviously talk about the comics shows, the conventions, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Adelaide Toy Collector. If you just search that on any of those social medias. I had a Facebook page that somehow got hacked and deleted. Why do you want to hack my account? Who knows? I only had 100 people that liked it, but I haven't redone that yet. But
fair enough. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with me, spending this time to have a quick ramble about fairs and cons and toys and comics and our passion of collecting. Like I said,
I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah, I'm going to do some more of these. We'll definitely catch up soon. We'll catch up with the Comic Thots crew and stuff at the fair and hang out and probably tease each other for spending more than we sell.
Exactly right. And that's the problem. We always overbuy and undersell, and we always complain, I can't afford to live. But however,
here's this toy that I have bought. All right, thank you very much. I've obviously been Sam from Comic Thots. Please like, follow, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. both of our channels are easy to find. Please, yeah, obviously this will be on my channel, but you know, I'll tag Chris's channel as well, so you can find it a little bit easier. All right, peace out. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. See you later.